I'm good at knocking stuff over.
Well, we appreciate so very, very much all of you who have made an effort, huh? What? Okay. We have a little technical problems there, but we appreciate so very, very much all of you who have made it out for this occasion there. It's small, but I told her, you know, it's reminiscent to one of the greatest things that ever happened, and this is a great thing, but the greatest thing that ever happened was Jesus was born. And the crowd, the masses, couldn't care less. But a few people had been notified, and they came. Now the world know the story and who was there. And you folks follow in that same vein. This is a great thing. It said of Jeremiah, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. That was God speaking. But before I was born in my mother's, well, when I was born, she knew me. She knew my mom.
All right. Your
And
grandmother.
and she goes way back. She said, I knew your grandmother.
First cousin.
First cousin. Y'all pick it up okay?
Two sisters' children. That's right.
See what we're learning? And not only that, it's rare that you find someone of that age. And do you mind telling this in a virtual audience how old you are?
I'm 87, I'll be 88 July the 16th of this year.
That's deserving of a hand clap. 87.
Still driving.
Still driving. Huh? Oh, we might need to put a mic in the audience there because if you're not being picked up, your comments are going to be welcome. But to get back to the point, the thing there, you know, I called her when I was doing a series there based upon the happenings that's recorded in the book of Luke and also Acts. So much was being said that Luke had a friend, he said, Theophilus, and he said, but I was an eyewitness to there. So much is being said, and people really don't know what to believe. But I was there, and he went on to give them the essence, the truth of what was being said. And from that I said, you know, when given information, we need someone who knows, someone who cares, and someone who has your best interests at heart. And through the years that I've known her, those three things come across. I need her to be someone who knows. She was there before I was. You talk about like she not sure about this. Do you know what a cross is?
Yes, I used it. Yes, I used it.
Well, all we know about chainsaws and weed eaters and skitters now.
Yes, sir.
But there was time when trees were harvested
Good call.
with long cross-cut saws.
That's true.
So she not only knows what they are, but she uses them. So she's someone who knows. She's someone who cares. And I believe it fits that last bill as well. She has our best interests at heart. We look at our young people today and we want to say, don't nobody care. They carry through life thinking that nobody cares. But the reason she's here today, 87 years old, still driving, is because she believes as long as I have breath, a reasonable health and strength, and the blood is warm and flowing through my veins, I'll do what I can do. And for that,
That's
I
true.
think she needs it, because everybody don't have that balance.
Now, we have a club at Wilma when I was working over there. The title is do what you can, while you can, with what you have. That's what we do. We made lap pads for the nursing home, for both nursing homes. We did what we could wrong, so everyone got a lap pad.
I don't know where to start there, but
So
we-
next year, I think we go into Warren, maybe Star City, we kind of do the side kicks. But we took care of Monticello.
So in 87 years of living, you've seen a lot, and I came on the scene like most of the folks that did, but to me, you were a first when it came to banking. You were the first person that I know, and I can remember.
I think they said,
working.
they thought I was the first one that came in, but what was the name? The little bright lady was down to go to school. Miss Karen, what her name? The little teacher, she's the elementary teacher. No, the one Uncle James Nathan was dating. What was her? Anyway, she was a school teacher at Drew High. But she was the first one. They said they got nervous and she didn't feel she could handle it. So she was before me, she didn't stay that long. But when they got ready to say hi me, I was working at the employment office. And I got a call and I talked to Mr. Calhoun was over there. And he said, what they saying? I said, they want me. I said, I don't know whether I can work in the bank. I said, I fool with church money and little house money, but not that much money. He said, oh, you can handle it. I said, if they crazy enough to hire me, I'll go. I went.
So you went.
I went and I stayed 23 and a half years.
You're talking about 23 years,
Yeah.
being, if not the first, one of the first, to come from not cleaning house, not washing dishes, not cooking food, and to some folks, you might have been out of your place.
That's what someone probably thought, but I didn't feel. I feel in place anywhere. I'm in place.
So would you say where God
Yeah, place.
wants you to be,
I'll be.
you will be? You
I'll
can
be.
bloom where you are.
That's right. That's true.
Do you believe that he will prepare a table for
Before
you
me, he said it.
in the presence of your enemy?
Eat well.
And you'll eat well.
Sure will.
Anything else? So this is a first for all of us there.
Well, you're talking about the crosscut saw. I said I used it. I did. It was 4 girls left. The oldest 2 was boys. They had left home and left the girls were there. We did everything that they did. We plied the mule. We pulled the corn. We hauled hay. Everything on the farm, we did it. Because at the time for parade, we thought we couldn't miss a parade to go to parade. And so I was driving the truck and I got on top of a row of hay, which wasn't baled, and it got tangled up under something up under there, and it choked it out, and I thought it had torn up the truck. Daddy got upset. He said, no, y'all can't go to the parade. At the first parade I missed, but we thought we hauled the hay. It would be one drive up, we get out, throw it up, take it to the house. That wasn't the big hay that you see on the ground now. It was that rectangle hay. We took a hook and hook in it and take it up, and one up on the truck, stack it, and we take it to the barn, we put it in the barn.
Now, you're talking about a work ethic back then.
I mean, I had so much strength when I was going up at the bank to my work with little paper money. That was just small stuff. But I believe I was strong. I hate that. It was this is 50, 25, and 23. That's when I had a stroke. I didn't know I had it. I had a stroke, and my neighbor, Mayru Jones, talking to me on the phone, she said, girl, she said, you probably need to go have yourself checked. I said, what's wrong? She said, your voice is slurred. My speech is slurred. She said, I think you need to go. I said, you think so? So my son came down that Sunday evening, and I told him what she said. He said, you want to go? I said, let's go. So I got there, and they checked me out, and the doctor said, you had a stroke. And then he had sense enough to ask me, when did you have it? I didn't know I had it. He said, when did you have this stroke? I said, man, I didn't know I had a stroke. I said, I was just telling him what the lady told me and why I came. But anyway, they sent me on to Baptist Hospital in Little Rock, and I stayed up there from that Sunday night to that Wednesday. They dismissed me, checked me out and everything. I had to wear what you call it, something to monitor me to find out how my heart was doing this. And whatever it was, anyway, you could plug it in, but you couldn't get too far from it. I told them just like a newborn baby. You had to stay close to it. And so, but I took that after they dismissed me on a Wednesday, I believe it was. Anyway, I started back to work. They told me I had to take therapy. I said, how can I take the therapy? I'm working. They said, well, what time you get off? I said, well, I take it when I get off work. That's what I did. I leave work from Wilma, come through Monticello at the hospital, take my therapy and go home.
And you were driving yourself?
I was driving that truck.
And that was in 23?
23.
And you still drive?
I'm still, I went on, kept driving, and I'm still driving, but that didn't stop me from work. I thought you just had to work. That was our job, to work, to live. And so I didn't mind working. That's one thing I like to see a lot of people, young people, they can't stand to work, but they don't know what it takes. Behind the work, you get your blessing. My dad had a philosophy. He said, when you work hard, you eat good. And we used to do that too. We worked hard. We had grow everything, your peanuts, everything you want to eat on the farm. We had plenty to eat, and we ate good. We ate good. So we had to haul our water from springs in a big old 500-gallon barrel with the hook on the top, yes, up in the truck. The girls did this. We used to go to Ella Spring up on the Garnett Road up there for me. We went to the O'Neill Spring behind our house. Then it was a Bill Henry Spring on the south of us, 3 different springs. We would first going to those in a wagon, but up there on the, what you call the Garnett Road, we went in a truck. So my oldest sister, well, the last time we went up there, and the spring was down deep off there. You'd understand the spring because she had a campground. And we get up on this kind of hill and park the truck. We would go down and get the water and bring it, put it in the barrel. That was our drinking water, because we had a well, but it was real hard. We just watered the chickens and stuff from that. But with drinking water, we had to haul out with drinking water. And we get it home, and it's on the truck until somebody come by and help us get it off. But that's where we got our drinking water. Now you got to have a cup and this thing and that thing. Everybody, when I was coming, they had those citron, what you call them, citron dippers, and everybody drinking out the same dipper, same water, same dipper, and you lived a long time too. But now you're getting a little too clean to it. Now we're getting a little too clean now. You'll die soon. Because I know when we work in the field, somebody bring you some water, picking cotton or whatever, bring you some water. I know one man, well, I don't have nothing against snuff dippers, because my grandma and mama and them all, them snuff dippers in our family. But this old man, he was bringing us some water. We was thirsty too. And he stand out there in front of us with his snuff and drink out the jug first. Then he bring it to us. But you thirsty, you drink it. You drink it.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, you drink it because you hot and you ready for some water. You couldn't be picky. That's when I see these kids, what they can't stand. They don't know what you can stand. We stood it.
And for talking about that, those difficult times, I think there's a scripture that talks about borne your burdens in the heat of the day. In the heat of the day. And speak more along those lines about what we gripe about.
I know.
Complain about. There would be nothing for you guys. And going to school.
I know.
Talk about just going to school.
We walked to school. We went to Ebenezer, where I was raised at. We didn't have a church. We had to use the church for our school. So we respect the church.
The school. You
We
didn't have a school.
I had a school in the church.
You didn't have a school, but the
Had
school,
in
the
the
church building, sufficed for the school.
For the school, that's what we had. And we went there. That didn't make us better kids because we were going to the church, but we was decent and respect the church.
Oh.
We did that. That's why my first schooling was on to the 7th grade. 6th grade, 6th and 7th grade, I went to campground. That's when my mother was raised up, at campground, for home place. And they did have a school there, but they used the church and the school for our growing up. Because I was in the school building, and the younger children was in the church. It was a man by the preacher by the Reverend Anderson. He was I guess he had been in the vet. He was a veteran, I think, and he had something wrong with his foot, on what he amputated or what. Anyway, he had to lift that foot up real high, and he was the older kid's teacher, and his wife taught at she taught up at the church. And every Friday, we would have some kind of exercise, teaching children how to be in the public and meet the face of people. We called Miss Anderson, and she would have this play every Friday. You would learn something. You would learn to play. I remember doing a monologue on Lord, just bless the Lord. I learned how to do that. I had my cousin Flozella being Lawrence, and she really played her part. Because I think Tona, Terry, or Wilma, she knew that monologue, because she said it the last time I was there. But you learned a lot of stuff how to do. She had different plays, Miss Anderson, and she placed you in a position that it would be more like you. I'm Uncle Lambert, and D. Lambert's brother. And it was somebody, old man. He always was young, but he act like an old man. She gave him that part. He played it so beautiful. People would do things, you hear people doing. I was talking to Sister Annette about churches now don't even recognize Mother's Day, Children's Day, and Father's Day. We all, at school, Children's Day had some speech at Easter, but now they're through with that. I don't know what happened to it. We get too sophisticated. But those things you remember, you try to remember a speech, you would learn that speech. You wouldn't get up and read it, or you learn how to memorize it. But nowadays, you can get one to read one and you can't read it. Tell him to read it, you just go and read it, but he get up there and he can't read it. But that's us now. We go falling down for whatever reason. And I blame us for it. Not y'all, but us. We turned it loose too soon.
How did you all get back and forth
To school, Ebenezer we walk. We went to church, you walk. Daddy finally got a truck in 49, it'd be a little Ford truck, black truck. Looked like the truck up there on the highway next to a Ray's or somewhere out there on the highway. It looked like on 49. That's the kind of truck I learned to drive, it, stick shift. And we would walk to church. I don't know how far from that house to church. I don't have no idea about distance. But we had to walk to church, walk to school. And then when it rained real bad, them branches and things would overflow. My brother would come and pick us up in the wagon. And he liked to run the horses, he's just wild. So as soon as he got us in the wagon, he took off. And then shortly after he left the school, church, there was a big old mud pile in the road. And he went through there just flopping and going on. He had these little side things up on the side of the wagon. And my oldest sister and I was sitting on it. Next thing we know, we was on the ground. The wagon wheel run on my right leg. It ran up on her. She was so big, I think that's what she blocked the horses where they couldn't go any further. And took care of that. We stopped us right there in the mud hole. And I stayed out of school 2 weeks. They didn't take you to the doctor. They put something on my leg, or what they did. But it did hurt for a little while, but that was you put what, Colon or something, I don't know what all you put on there. But you do it at home. You didn't go to the doctor. You used something they had at home. Yeah. It didn't cut nothing. It just ran over my leg.
That she was talking about among those home remedies.
Oh, yeah.
The roll that fatback.
Oh.
Fatback.
Yeah, that's good. That was good for a cut, right? That's true. That's true, you're right. Because people used to have risings, or they call it something like that. And they put that on.
What she said about that bag, that brought the infection.
That's true. But my leg wasn't cut. It was just, I guess, bruised, and they really didn't look bruised. I guess I was so dark I couldn't tell it was bruised or not. But anyway, it was a little sore. They put something on it, and I stayed at home 2 weeks out of school. Yeah. Yes, Lord, I love
Let me
it.
ask you a question about that. I know, Mama do her notes, she used to talk about walking to have lessons. I remember her talking about the Hudson. Were you in that crew walking to get,
To the Do-Re-Mi school. I didn't go to too many. The ones I went to was at Green Mountain Campground. I was driving. I kept the truck at home for Daddy, and I was the only driver. But he had surgery or something. And I didn't go to too many music schools. I wished I had. Because we still with this, we still with the Do-Re-Mi now. We still have it going. I hope we could bring it here and let you all, I know you do all about that kind of stuff.
y'all hear that Miss Brooks?
Uh-huh.
Hear that Miss Brooks, Miss Bernice Brooks?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. It's a celebration. Yeah. We sang a cappella.
Did you all shake them?
That's the only kind I can do. I wished I knew something about this other. I know they taught us better, but I didn't get that. But they claimed that my mother was very good in that music. I couldn't tell, but she would sing with us at home. So we would sing all the time. That's one thing I love, and I miss it so much when I don't hear my singing. And when they're singing and it's not in tune, that bothers me. I'm like, oh man, Hudson, you making a noise. And when I first started singing, I thought I was really good. I could sing real, my voice was loud, I could sing loud. I thought I could really tear this up. I'm gonna sing loud. I'm just singing loud, I thought I was really doing good. My mother set me down, she said, baby, she said, you got a good voice. It's loud, but it's out of order. And she placed me between two women, Miss Marilyn Benson and Miss Mary Barker. They were soprano singers. She told me to sit between them, and don't sing louder than them, sing under them, keep your voice down. listen for their voice and listen, try to make your voice sound like theirs. And that cooled me off from thinking I was a singer. I thought I was going because I was loud. But you can be loud and be wrong too. And that's what I was doing. Yeah, that do re mi. I got a little pipe harp, where you go blow in it. And when I blow in it, I don't know what to do with it. And I need to know pitch pipe. I was gonna bring it, forgot. Because when I blow in, I can be sick. E flat, I blow in that. But what I hear, is that a do?
Not necessarily.
Not necessary.
Each key has its own little home with its dough.
Okay. Well, I should. Oh,
Now, we are the question of, you were married to a veteran. When you talked about somebody from, that had that bad foot injured in the war.
that was Reverend Anderson. He was a school teacher at campground.
Okay,
He was a teacher. He was a veteran before he came there to teach.
out of World War I or World War
It
II.
must have been World War I. He
Okay.
was kind of the age of my dad.
But then your husband, if memory serves me correct, was a veteran too, wasn't he?
My daddy, my husband, my brother, now my grandson.
Okay, and your husband was what branch of service?
He was in the Navy.
He was in the Navy. He was in the Navy.
My husband's brother was in the Army. And my grandson is in the Air Force.
Now,
That's Talbot's oldest son.
were y'all married before the war? So you got married after the war? Okay.
He was out of the Army.
Okay.
I want to ask a question that I always wondered about people's age group. I've noticed, phonics and all that kind of stuff wasn't a part of learning back in the day. But I noticed a lot of folks that would be in their late 90s or whatever, if you could spell a word or two, they could pronounce, even though they may have only finished 8th grade, whatever, but they can pronounce it. So how did they teach you all? Did they have a certain way to teach you all to learn, to pronounce words, spell, all that kind of stuff, different from?
Talking about when we was in school.
Yes, ma'am.
I tell you what, when I was in daycare, working with the daycare center, that's when I learned from the instructor there, teaching the kids. I'm learning with the kids how to sound the word and say it. See, I tell you, a lot of people try to say, I'm this, I'm that. You learn from young people as well as old people. Don't tell me that. I've been around all of them. And when I used to pick cotton, I would get between Miss Alberta Edwards' mother and her aunt, pick cotton between them, learning stuff. Them old people can teach you stuff. Don't think you got too much, you know too much, you don't. You don't know a thing. When they were telling me stuff, this child here, that's why I brought her, she my backup kid. She remembers almost much as I do about stuff. She come up in a old time way, learning how to do stuff the real way, washing with the scrub board. You did too? I know. Oh yeah, I better know it. Yes.
And you're talking about, we have that luxury of going to Dillard's and Dillard's clearance and getting bargains on our clothes and all that kind of stuff. But I was heard them talking about taking the leftovers from the sacks that the flour came in, or the shorts came in.
Yeah, and make clothes. Oh boy, that was something. Our mom used to get that old red dye, and after they bleach this material out as much as they can, and put it in the pot with that dye and stuff, and dye those clothes. I remember she made my two sisters some pleated skirts, and you get that flour starch them up, and then iron them pleats down. The store couldn't beat you. I miss out of sacks with the body hog shorts in, the big sacks. Flower sacks, you make a dress out of that.
Well,
You know, there was this flower called white rose, and they had red or yellow, or red and yellow, they had blue, but they didn't have no bud on those sets. And that's what Glover made the dresses from, and the blouses. And the makeup.
Well, it's strange how old people now we had get patterns and stuff to make stuff. Them people, I don't know, they would take you and measure you up and take something, lay on that thing and cut it out. It would fit. That child's mother could make stuff. And Donald Ruffin, y'all probably know him. His mother.
she talking about Donald who works at the school? Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a janitor for her building.
Okay.
Well, what about her?
I said, I'm talking about Donald Ruffin, the boy. His mother could do stuff like that. Quilting, her sewing would be just like a sewing machine, them stitches so small. She'd get that snuff in her corner mouth and sit there all day. She said, give me some snuff and some water, I'm good. She won't want to be eating nothing. She want to finish sewing. I mean, the beautiful quilts you want to see. Donald Ruffin's mother. She left a lot of quilts. I don't know, she gave Tavin one when he got married.
My grandmother did it too. Nellie.
Quilted. Well, I still can do some quilting. Piecing the quilts, and that's what I didn't like, when they would take so long to get all the little parts together. But after you finish, you be proud of what you did. That's what I'm saying. A lot of times you can't see the results. You got to continue. You know, we stop when we get started, or it don't look like it's gonna be nothing. But that's not the end of it. Get to the end and then look back. So we stop too soon.
Good, oh, yes.
I have a quilt that my mom made. Yes, I was a teenager. It's a quilt, it's got a donkey on the back of it. That donkey has a saddle on it. It's in my closet. I wish I had thought to bring it, but I really didn't know what the program was about. But I had that donkey. It's beautiful. I don't use it. I don't let nobody use it.
Well, if the Lord said the same, this is just a first time.
I know I should have brought this picture. She know about it. Oh man, you're in Thomas, where he was taking his cow to the sale barn up here at Brown Calhoun. He had 2 cows pulling this wagon. I got the picture at home. I'm gonna let you see it. And he had a cow in the wagon, taking 2 cows pulling the wagon. He up in there, he got a lantern up under that's his light. I got a picture. This was sent to me from a Carter, somebody who grew up in that community. And that was where he took his cows to the sale barn. In a wagon, 2 cows pulling the wagon, 1 cow in the wagon. How he got him in there, I don't know. But he had a small little thing. I call that his car. He came by the house one day with that, and I was asking Kevin, I said, what is that? He said, that's my man Aaron Thompson. He got this cow pulling, he used his cow to do his little gardening. And I said, oh my. I said, that's important. I said, I need to ride in there. He said, don't you ask that man to get in there and help ride on that cow. I said, when he come back, I'm gonna ask him. He went up to the store and I come out there and I stopped him. I said, oh man Aaron, will you take me to the church and back to the house in your automobile? He said, yeah. So he did. I got a ride in it, but I didn't have a picture. I don't have a picture of that, but I do have a picture in the one I call his truck, where he was taking the cow to the sale barn with 2 cows pulling it. I'll bring it. I should have been putting my stuff together,
So,
but I'm gonna get that for you to see it.
so when you say, or we say, the Lord has brought us from a mighty, mighty long way,
Yes,
you know how mighty
I know how much,
and how long.
how long. But
And to a generation that don't have any idea, what would you say to them?
just face it like whatever you face, hit it head on and don't stop, because you never know what the end is gonna be. So I just say, give it your best. Well, that's all you can do. Give it your best.
What do
We
you-
never know what's in us until you try it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate so very, very much your coming out. And like I say, if I had a magic wand, we would have a full house. I just tap it. But I think a lot of good, and you see what the seed is being planted. We don't need to abandon this. We need people to walk into our lives who knows, who cares, and have our best interests at heart. And y'all be thinking about, because we're going to make this thing something with God's blessing on it, and say what they're doing now here is something that we need to be exposed to. They talk about a history that's being rewritten. One thing they can't do, we can't deny her life experience. She is not talking to us about something she heard. She's talking about something she actually lived. And that's a rarity. And as much as we can surround ourselves with her, people like her, the Bible says we can be guaranteed that if we walk with the wise, we'll become wise also.
That's true.
A man is known by the company he keeps. Anybody else with any questions, comments, or closing remarks? Jeremy got one.
I just want to, just curious about your thoughts on Barack Obama as the first black president, and what your thoughts were, and how far did you go back as far as your memory of presidents?
How far back?
What president do you remember in your lifetime? Hoover, I think you remember the Hoover,
Yeah.
or Coolidge, or anybody?
I know when my husband was living, he said when Obama got to be president, he said, I thank God for letting me live to see this. I didn't think I could live to see that. That's what he made the statement. I said, that's all I said. Because I was thinking about the little boys were visiting, where they grew up in a neighborhood, and they would go to this feed store, like whatever time they would go, pretty often. And this old man would be just sitting out there all the time, and they said, it's strange. He just sit there and to himself, and they went to him one day, they would say, wonder how old he is. They went up there and talked to him, and they asked him, they said, sir, how old? He told them how old he was. He was real old. And they said, how do you live this long? He said, oh, there's nothing to it. He said, what? They said, nothing to it. They said, what you do? He said, just don't die. You live on if you don't die. Because I knew a young lady, one lady worked with me at the bank. She said, ooh, Miss Dean, I don't want to live to get old. I said, why, baby? She said, it gets ugly when you get old. I said, well, you better go die young than while you're pretty. That's all I can say.
Maryland.
Ms. Dean, could you sing us just your choice, could you sing us a verse of a song?
Which one?
Just whatever you
Oh,
come to
Lord.
your mind.
Oh, me.
What a fellowship.
Your favorite. Your favorite.
Well, my favorite, I don't know, I have so many favorites. Let sister start it off. I talk deep and slow, but when I sing, my voice go up. What a fellowship. That's the way we sing. Well, I don't go back to on them, I don't know about all that, Lord, I stretch my hand to thee out.
That's all right.
I know it, that's old, but I mean, I never did get into that. They were doing that in the Baptist church, and I tried my best to do that, but that's not mine. That's my daddy's song. He opened Sunday school with that every Sunday, Rock of Ages. And when I used to hear him talk about the person Hudson was saying, we were saying rocks of ages. He said, ain't no rocks, it's a rock. We say a lot of things. Rocks of Asia fit me is rock of ages. But we do that all the time. We never think about what we're saying. We just get all carried away and whatever. I like this. Since I was taught that, it is part of me. When I hear music all every which way but right, that bothers me. I can't correct them, but it bothers me. Rock of Ages, I'm kidding, I won't start it too high. Let me hide myself in thee. Let the waters and the flood from thy wounded side which flow. Be of sin, no of fear, save from death and make me clear. You don't? I love those songs. Now that's my daddy that's his opening Sunday school song. Rock of Ages. But we holler, rocks of ages, live for me. And thinking we're whooping it too, boy.
Yeah. Sing with the spirit and with the understanding, and
That's it.
you've certainly given us something to ponder. And we thank you all again for being here, you for being that sidekick.
Yeah, my sidekick.
And
When I told her she was glad to come.
all right. And like I said, we did a bunch of firsts this morning that we tried to revive, and we'll got this recorded.
Yeah, you probably get her the next time. She could go in deep fields too.
All right. It takes a village, and we appreciate your contribution to this effort this evening. Oh, okay.
What she said?
The first president that you remember.
Oh, Lord.
Coolidge, you remember Coolidge being in?
Well, I really went into presidents and stuff. I'm gonna be real. I remember the names. I think one while we was trying to remember all the names of the presidents, started with Washington on forward, and I never did get all of them done. So I don't know, but I remember the Lincolns and whatever these last ones.
But I think you grew up in a time where everybody remember Hoover, didn't we?
Yes.
We had the Hoover Halls,
Is that it?
Rebbits.
Okay.
They call those Rebbits there. The people were
Okay.
living off the land there, Hoover Halls.
Okay.
All right. Anything else? So y'all be thinking about these questions so the next time, I wish I had a thought to answer that. We'll give you that another chance, Lord, saying the same. So, in behalf of this congregation and this community, we thank you both and look for more of the same. And as we think about these people there, I'm ready to entertain your names and those people who can make contribution. And let these kids know that they need to come and hear some of these stories. I think it will make them better at school. You know, you talk about reverence for where you are. People go to school and they write on walls and think it's funny to stop up the commodes and stuff like that. You know, they think that's funny. But the outhouses were out, but those outhouses were maintained.
Thank you. Thank you.
Maintain, yeah. Somebody did something to maintain the outhouses. You want to talk about just a little bit of what they did to maintain the outhouses?
Put some sulfur, I think it was it. Lime, something. I knew they put some white off in it. Yeah, but that's what they did. And there was somewhere to go to when you think it might be a snake in there. And you know you have to go. But you went.
Oh, no. I
They have
told you.
what? Have what? Oh, no, 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 no. I know we didn't,
We had, yeah.
well, we didn't when we was at school, we didn't have it at Ebenezer Nard Campground, we had to use the outhouse. I know at campground, we went to the spring and took our water. Mr. D. Thompson had a goat, Billy goat, and if you didn't get out there and get out at the right time, he run you back. When you get back with the school, you don't have much water because you always lost your water trying to run from the goat. And the goat will be coming behind you. That's at this campground spring. Yes. You go through some stuff in life.
We had a well at Green Mountain. You know, out there in front of the, what was it? It was a big tree sitting out there.
Okay, I don't remember.
Well, it's still there, but it's covered up.
I don't remember Green Mountain School. All I remember is Ebenezer Campground.
Probably reason I can go out place was, Sister Paul talked about earlier, how the children don't do speeches anymore. And I was so impressed with your grandmother this morning. That be how, like, it's too much for you all to get up and let her know that young Miss Gallup will still remember things they quote that they quoted this morning. It was just very great. They did long speeches.
Yeah.
This morning. We had our children take over. And I think
Well, that's good.
Do you both want to, they ask, do you have a volunteer for one or both of you?
that's where it all can do, right? He really got a good job working with them, keeping up the, I mean, they keep up their lawn so beautiful. Helps us in the kitchen working, they really appreciate it.
That's good. That is good.
Yeah. Jeremy, you got the camera? And children live.
When children live with honesty and fairness, they learn truth and justice. When children live with security, they learn to have faith. When children live with approval, they learn to like themselves. When children live with friendship, they learn to find love in the world.
Okay. That's so sweet. You don't hear that over here.
All right, so this speech here is from Theodore Roosevelt. It's titled Man the Arena. It goes with this. It's not the critic that counts, not the man that points out how the strong man stumbles, or what the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who was actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, short again and again, because there's no effort without error and shortcoming. But those who actually strive to do the deeds, those who know the great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spend themselves in the worthy cause, who would best in the end of triumph and high achievement, and who would worst if he fails, at least he fails while daring greatly. So this place should not be with those cold and timid souls who near no victory nor defeat.
I come before you today as a youth of the Kennedy Boulevard Church of Christ with the same speech by Theodore Roosevelt titled Man in the Arena, but it's a different version. So it states, it's not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles, or where the doer of deeds could have done it better. The credit actually belongs to the man who is in the arena, whose face is marred by dust, sweat, and blood, who strives valiantly, who comes short, who errs again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming. Who at best knows great enthusiasm and great high triumph, and who at worst, if he fails while daring greatly. The man who spends himself in a worthy cause, so that he will never know his place with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat. Thank you.
The first speech that he said, I tried hard, I studied hard, and done my best, but my Amy kindly did the rest. And my speech was, here I stand on two little chicks, come and kiss my sweet little lips. I don't know, she made those things up for us, and we just love it. He was supposed to say,
Slippers on my feet. Daddy, baby girl, don't you think I'm sweet?
he was supposed to say, my teacher, I studied hard, done my best, but my teacher kind of did the rest. But we always done my Amy. She was so good to us. She was just like our own person. And that's why he said, my Amy kind of did the rest. Didn't we?
Something to build on, something to grow on. Greg, you want to give us a dismissal prayer?
Dear God, we again so grateful for this moment. We just thank you, dear God, for Miss Collins and her niece here. We just pray, dear God, that you continue to watch over, grant her with many more wonderful years if it is your will. Not only her, dear God, but each and every one of us. And we pray, dear God, that as we prepare to leave this space, but never your presence, that you will go before us, remove anything that's in the way of danger, that we may make our destination safe. For in my name, Jesus, we do pray.